Parallel City in past. Parallel City, of course, limiting Finnegan's bench size, but Finnegan seems to be looking towards, you know, what kind of a strategy he's going to be able to come up with here. But because of his awesome prizes, he's got pretty much every option available to him right now.
Yeah, and just looking through his deck as he's skimming through with that Bridget, you see cards like Oranguru. He's got that in there to protect him against N. That's one thing that this deck has an issue with, and a lot of players started to cut when they added in these single prize attackers, but he actually held on to the Oranguru and kept it in his deck. I really like seeing that. That means that he probably is going to have a lot of answers when Jimmy does go for that late end strategy.
Now he is going for 2 Inkays and a Hoopa here, and those are the Pokemon he chose. What other setup do you need here for your first turn if you're going second here, if you're Daniel?
Well, I mean, he's looking to protect his Inkays as much as possible. So if he's able to get all of his Inkays onto the bench, that means that more Malamars have the potential to come out, of course, and that'd be great for him. Hoopa's actually a pretty great wall to have. It's not going to get immediately knocked out by a Zoroark because you're only doing 120 damage most of the time, and it's got 130 HP. If you can get a couple attacks off with it too, you might be able to set up some pretty relevant damage, but it looks like Finnegan's kind of just stuck with that Bridget and pass.
All right, Ultra Ball here from Jimmy. No doubt finding his first Zoroark more than likely. Sure enough, there it is. Yeah. Zoroark able to start trading right away, but not before an end here from Jimmy. Jimmy now shuffling both players' hands into their decks, and both players are going to be drawing 6 cards.
Yep, very wise from Jimmy to use the supporter before he uses trade. This means that he's going to end up with the most potential cards in his hand after the end of this turn. He could also draw into more Zoroarks, more trades. He could have a hand of upwards of 8 or 9 cards by the end of this if it works out for him.
Here's the thing, though, is he's only got access to 2 double colorless energies right now. So it's not a given that he's going to be able to find them.
Definitely.
Matter of fact, he might even be a bit of an underdog to find one.
Yep, he would have options to find cards like Grass Energy, but you don't have any attackers for Grass Energy. Your Golisopods are prized. So he's super contingent on finding these double colorless.
Found it right away, by the way.
Yeah, that is big. That's a big draw for Jimmy. He's going to be able to throw away cards like Ultra Ball. He threw away Enhanced Hammer earlier, so just cards he doesn't need to see right now. He's got every Pokemon he needs. He's just going to throw away all these extra cards and find exactly what he wants, that double colorless.
How's that triple Zoroark working out for you, Jimmy? Triple Zoroark on turn 2, going first to go with that, and finds one of his 2 double colorless energies in the deck. So this is a perfect start here for Jimmy. He does have only 100 damage onto the Inkay, but guess what? 100 damage is more than enough.
Yeah, that'll do it. And I mean, over for Daniel. He's got 2 Inkays left. That means 2 potential Malamars, and he's got a pretty good start to this turn here. Mysterious Treasure's going to throw away his Psychic. He's got cards like Professor Sycamore in his hand, but wow, Jimmy didn't even get another DCE off of the prizes.
Oh, no. The way the prizes are set up, he should be able to get one next turn, given, you know, assuming he goes for the standard rotation of prizes taken. But, yeah, I mean, this is definitely going to be a potential storyline in this first game. Obviously, Malamar does tend to struggle to deal damage to these Zoroarks, but Jimmy's better. He better hope that the Zoroark can take him quite the distance.
All right, so let's go into a few ways that Daniel can take over this game. He's got the Necrozma right there, and it has the Black Ray GX. That's a way to get 100 damage down on all these GX Pokemon, which would set up pretty nicely for the Hoopa. You've got a way to do 130 damage that gets through the resistance, and it's a clean 210 damage. It looks like a pretty good play, right? The problem is Jimmy plays Acerola. So if he's able to just bounce around these Zoroarks, if he gets the max potions, he could just clean up your GX attack, and then you're just stuck with nothing. So if Jimmy finds the right draws and is able to find max potions, Acerolas, it means that Daniel just wasted a turn. And then he's on this strategy of just Prismatic Burst with like 4 Psychic Energies to get the knockout, and that's just not going to hold up.
Yeah, I mean, beyond that, though, actually, believe it or not, I don't think Jimmy plays Acerola.
Okay, yeah, he's got the one.
He does have the max potion.
One max potion,
yeah.
And of course
the puzzles.
Puzzles, yeah.
But he is going to have to find that. But, I mean, at the same time, first of all, Finnegan has to get to that spot to begin with, right? It's not easy to get the triple Psychic Energy.
He has no way to even retreat right now. He's just stuck with his Hoopa. He could get a little bit of damage down if he wanted to. Don't know what exactly the relevant number is for him on these Zoroarks. It doesn't seem like he'd actually have to get like 2 of these hyperspaces onto the Zoroarks to start it being a little relevant for Necrozma, and that's a lot to ask for.
Yeah, I mean, Finnegan does have the right strategy going. He plays a field blower there, but he does have the right strategy going. It's just his hand isn't exactly cooperating yet. And I mean, that's for a reason. He was asking for quite a bit there to be able to get this off on this particular turn. However, if he gets it off next turn, he's still going to be in decent shape.
Yep, now it's just up to what Daniel sees as the best play for him. Don't know if he needs to just find himself a new hand, and it looks like that's the strategy he's going to go with. No aggressive options for him with Guzma. Don't think he has the energies available to him to really get anything wild going.
No, not yet. He can still theoretically get this going, but he's going to need a heck of a lot of help.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult.
Has he attached from hand yet? He has, right?
I'm pretty sure he has. And he's got these 2 charges available. 1 charge now because he only got the 1 Malamar. Looks like he's going to go with the Lele.
Yeah, he's giving up on that strategy for now.
Yep, and a nice hyperspace punch is going to start to set up some damage, and he is going to target down these Zoroarks. With Prismatic Burst, if you have 3 energies, you're doing 190. That's 170 through the resistance. So if you get these guys to 40, then it starts to become a little more relevant.
Yep, of course, targeting the Zoroarks on the bench because of resistance. Can't really target the one in the active position. Sure enough, Enhanced Hammer going down to the discard pile. That's its best use here in this match.
Yeah, it is a filler card. It basically just reads, throw me away, draw 2 cards this turn.
Counter Catcher, kind of doing the same thing right now.
Yeah, if you're going to be winning, might as well throw it away.
That's the strategy. All right, so Counter Catcher and Enhanced Hammer both draw a total of 4 cards here for Jimmy so far.
Yep.
6-card hand here for Finnegan. Jimmy, well, and another useless card, really, a Bridget here. Obviously, Jimmy getting rid of the bad cards from his hand and hoping to draw into what he truly needs. But the thing is, I mean, outside of, like, for example, Max Potion in the near future and the final double colors in his hand, or in his deck, what else is he really looking for? Like, because he doesn't have a Golisopod.
He wants a Guzma and a way to retreat. He wants to take out this Malamar as soon as he can, and I just don't think that he has a way to do that yet. He's got the Tapu Lele, so he can find Guzma. I think actually he has a Rainbow Energy in his hand, so he could use that to retreat. He could retreat the Tapu Lele because it has a 1 retreat cost.
Right.
So actually a pretty strong play from Jimmy here.
Okay, I could definitely see that. That Malamar is definitely too threatening right now, especially with the Necrozma in the on the bench, hoping to come out as soon as possible.
Yeah, no, this is a solid spot from Jimmy, unless he just sees something a lot more awesome. I don't see it yet. But this is the way that you generally try to fight against Malamar decks. If you can Parallel City them early, make them use their resources, and then take away these Malamars, you can really get yourself in a great spot. It
works out really well in that you've already taken a single prize once already. So taking another single prize is definitely going to work out in your favor.
Oh, look at that. He's got Parallel City and the Float Stone, so he can have the energy on board too if he wants. He can Parallel City first, drop him down to 3 Pokemon, and then take away the Malamar. It looks like he's going to do it in the other order and make Daniel have to choose one of these Pokemon to get rid of, and he loses the Lele with an energy.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. The other Pokemon are just so powerful, you don't really want to get rid of them, right? You're going to need that Inkay, and you're going to need the Necrozma. But losing that Lele with an energy is a big deal for just the cost of a lowly stadium here.
Yep, that Floatstone definitely helps Jimmy a lot. He knows he's got a few Golisopod in the prizes, so if he was able to find one, he could set up for a nice Crossing Cut GX knockout on the Necrozma. That would be a great way to clear that up if it were able to come up and attack, but still can't find it. At least he found a double colorless, though.
Right, yeah. Finding a double colorless is a big deal. That's one of the key cards that he absolutely needed to find. There's very few misses left in his deck, or in his prizes, as he still has 1 double colorless and 2 Golisopods left.
Yep. Doesn't have to worry about that Parallel City facing against him for the grass reduced 20. Yeah. He's not going to have to worry about that because he just can't find his Golisopods.
That's the strategy. He broke the format. All right, Cynthia here for Finnegan, drawing him a brand new hand of 6, shuffling his old hand into his deck.
And he needs to find some tools because this board is really bad and it doesn't have anywhere to go right now. Of course, he does get to put a little bit of chip damage down on those Zoroarks, which would be great, but the problem is he just isn't going to have any tools afterwards. If Jimmy finds another Guzma, if this is the only Inkay, what's Daniel going to attack with?
Yeah, the thing about putting that chip damage on the Zoroarks is that it might as well not even exist, honestly. Like, once you deal that 100 damage with your Necrozma, you're going to be able to one-hit KO the Zoroarks anyways, right? Like, there's no additional incentive to adding that 20 damage here and there. Like, matter of fact, I might even go after a Tapu Lele here.
Yeah, this is indicative of him setting up to do Prismatic Bursts over and over again on those Zoroarks.
Yep.
It's just a different route, but honestly, I don't think it matters what route he goes with here. He just needs to find a setup because it's more important to have a setup first, and Jimmy is choking him of all of those potential options.
Yeah, it's definitely... Jimmy's definitely doing quite a bit of work here, taking advantage of this matchup advantage. But at the same time, it seems like Finnegan's deck just kind of isn't cooperating at the same time.
Right.
That's kind of the downside of Malamar, right? Like, out of the big three, it's definitely the least consistent deck.
Yeah, and you'd think that it wouldn't be because you have Mysterious Treasures and Ultra Balls, but every time I play it, I just find myself missing a few things. It just doesn't always work out the way I wanted it to, or I assume it should.
Well, the difference is that one of the other big three decks is literally just basically a Haymaker deck, right?
Yeah.
It's just Buzzwole and friends.
Hit him in the face, Pokemon. Go, and the other one draws 8 cards a turn.
So it's not hard to be the least consistent deck of the three when you have two All-Stars to your side.
Yep.
It's like being Chris Bosh next to Dwayne Wade and LeBron James, you know?
Just send me back to Toronto.
All right, so Evo Soda does get discarded to draw 2 cards for a trade. I believe there was... Yeah.
He's done a few trades, has Guzma already, so if he wants to just target down the Inkay, he can. I thought he was going to get cheeky with the Delinquent, but no, not yet. It's probably better to remove Inkays.
Oh, absolutely. Wimpod, no help whenever your Golisopods are gone.
Yep.
All right, Guzma, one more time. I mean, perfect strategy.
Oh, well, actually, if he has Choice Band, he's going to be able to score the knockout here, so that's a lot better.
And he does have the Choice Band, yeah.
He's got it.
Everything he needs at this point. Jimmy's going to be going down to 2 prizes. Necrozma going down. 2 prizes taken here from Jimmy, and the final 2 prizes left are going to be the Golisopods, but he doesn't need them. He really doesn't.
It's just funny to look at. Yeah, this is where I'd really like to see Daniel just scoop by himself some time. It's impossible to win from this point. And you don't want to say that, but you have to say it. There we go. Okay.
Yep.
Daniel's a very well-known player, and he also helps a lot of juniors, seniors, masters. He teaches a lot of people how to play the game. So I expect to see this out of him, and he knows exactly when it's time to pack it up. And give himself the time to potentially win 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, with only 35 minutes left on the clock, and granted, it's not like that match took forever, right? That game took forever. That was a very quick game, but it's still, if you're going to be losing game 1, you want to give yourself a shot at being able to win 2 games.
Yep.
And there is no promise that game 2 is going to be just as fast as game 1. So you absolutely want to save as much time as possible. Give yourself as good a shot as you possibly can to be able to come out with 3 points instead of potentially just 1.
I mean, just imagine if Jimmy didn't draw into the double colors, if those were sitting on the bottom 2 of his deck for the next 3 turns.
Yeah, absolutely.
What does he, I mean, Finnegan just runs over him. So that can definitely happen in game 2 or a potential game 3.
So now Finnegan, having lost game 1, through no fault of his own, really, he does get to go first this game, though, and that could prove to be a big deal, being able to evolve into Malamar before your opponent can really start sniping you down. Of course, Jimmy's going to have 1 turn to be able to do something, but when you're playing a bunch of evolution Pokemon, you really can't take advantage of a first turn attack like other decks can, like Buzzwole. So I definitely expect to see a much better start out of Finnegan here. And if he can get the Necrozma strategy going, get some damage on the early Zoroarks, then we could definitely see a much different game 2 than we saw in game 1.
Yep, and just from the little tidbit that I saw, his hand looked saucy. He had Lele, he had Inkay, he had a bunch of stuff. So he should be able to give us a pretty nice game here. Prize card's not terrible, just about 1 of every supporter. So it's going to be nice to find those in the later game.
What about Jimmy's?
He's got the Mewtwo down, so if we see early Necrozma, he might just not be able to stop that. 1 Zorua, not terrible. And of course the 1 Wind Pod, but no energies in there. So should be able to find Jimmy getting some pretty big attacks early in the game.
Right, so much different prizes for Jimmy than we saw game 1. But it is Finnegan that goes first here. Finds a Tapu Lele Wonder tagging in a supporter of his choice. Looks like it's going to be a Bridget, of course.
That's my supporter of choice.
And Bridget finding an Inkay right away. Probably finding a couple of Inkays to go with maybe a Hoopa or something along those lines.
Yep, he's got one Hoopa down. This is where I expect him to check out the rest of his hand, because when you get to the dangerous spot of the 5th bench spot, if you don't have a supporter in hand, a lot of players like to leave that space open. Because they play Mysterious Treasure and Ultra Balls, it's really easy to find that Lele to save yourself. Now he just has to decide, is this hand going to be able to pull him all the way through, or does he need to find a secondary attacker?
Well, so far, so interesting. I don't think you need to find a secondary attacker just yet, but you know, he's much more well-versed in this deck than I am. I feel like you can leave that open bench spot pretty easily too. That's definitely something to be said.
In any other matchup, you grab Dawnwing's Necrozma and you just say, yeah, I've got free retreat now. I can just keep using this Hoopa and I'm good. But yeah, Daniel's actually going to leave that spot open. I like to see this. He doesn't need to throw down. Just imagine if Jimmy grabs an N and Daniel's not able to find anything, but he has the Mysterious Treasure, and he's got a full bench. He just has to grab a Malamar and pass.
No, exactly. So Daniel's turn is basically over, and sure enough, he does pass the turn. Now, it's up to Jimmy to be able to come up with a pretty strong turn 1 of his own, because Daniel looks to be setting himself up for a very strong mid-game just based off of that turn 1 Bridget alone.
This looks like a hand that needs a Bridget, and I don't know if I see it.
Yeah, I don't see a Bridget either.
You just pass?
Wow.
Yeah, okay. Yep, that's a pass.
Okay, well, I mean, we were looking for a fast game too. I just didn't think we were going to see it this way.
Yeah, this could actually be over very quickly. It just depends on how Daniel decides to go about it. Throws away the N. I believe he had a Cynthia in his hand, so he will be able to find a bunch of extra cards, and not have to open up Jimmy into drawing super hot.
Yeah, I like how he just got rid of that in as fast as possible.
Yep.
No, thank you.
If he wanted to go for, there's always the opportunity to go for like Dawnwing's Floatstone and finish the game with the Hoopa if he wants to. He's actually going to hold on to the Psychic Energy.
Yeah, I like the no attach, by the way.
And yeah, that it just means that he's going to try for a little bit more with it. You could always attach to the Hoopa and then just go for the Dawnwing's Float in and 1 energy and you win.
Right.
But you're asking for a pretty specific combination of cards.
Right, because you also have to have an energy that can hit the discard pile too to go with that.
So Ultra Ball energy. Options are there. I don't know if he can get it done this turn though.
Yeah, I don't see a Float Stone. I don't see. I think Jimmy's safe. Yeah, it looks like Jimmy might be safe this turn.
Energy switch.
Oh, that would be spicy.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to get it done this turn. I mean, relatively close. It was.
With that said, I mean, Jimmy's hand is clearly dead, and hopefully he can get a Zoroark going next turn.
He was actually just a Float Zone away. He just needed to find a way to float the Dawnwings.
Literally just needed a Float Zone.
Yep. I mean, this is a great spot to be in, though. Attack for 0. Your opponent is going to hope that their Zoroark can draw 2 awesome cards off trade, but wow.
Wow, he hits an Ultra Ball.
Ultra Ball!
He hits an Ultra Ball, and he has a Zoroark in hand, by the way. So this game is going to definitely go quite a bit longer than it definitely could have had Finnegan drawn into that Float Stone. Ultra Ball finding a Tapu Lele. Tapu Lele probably finding a Bridget. Sure enough, there it is.
Love the ordering of this, by the way. This means that he's going to pull all these Pokemon out of his deck, which means he has better odds to find cards like Double Colorless Energy. Anything that can really just advance what he's doing right now. If he gets a little pressure going, it starts trading into a couple more Zoroarks, it's going to look like he didn't have as a disaster of a turn as he did on that opener.
Absolutely. Now, he might... I mean, here's the thing, is he does have, you know, a bit of a matchup advantage, but, I mean, clearly, Finnegan's going to have quite a big setup advantage going, right?
Yeah.
It's going to make for a really interesting game. It's going to let us know exactly how much of a favorite Zoroark is, right?
Yeah, this is where we're really going to find out what Daniel's strategy is with this. Does he go with the Black Ray? Does he try to set up those prismatic bursts? Does he just target down Lele's? Like, there's so many different ways to go about this matchup. All of them don't seem as good as Zoroark's initial strategy of just hit you in the face with big guys that don't get knocked out.
Easy decision here for Finnegan as he gets rid of the Tapu Lele once Peril City does hit the board. Now, no attack here from Jimmy, but at the same time, he's got to be grateful for that second turn that he had, given just how poor it was starting to look for him.
Yep.
Now, Field Blower gets rid of the Peril City, so we can see a Wonder Tag here from Tapu Lele. Sure enough, that is what's happening. Tapu Lele finding a Sycamore.
Yep.
Sycamore coming into the 5-card hand here for Finnegan. First, he's going to Ultra Ball before Sycamoring. Gets rid of the end one more time. Actually, a couple of supporters.
Yeah, losing that Guzma was actually pretty painful. He's going to Sycamore, so we know what's about to happen. But it always hurts. He asked how many Pokemon or how many cards Jimmy had in his hands, and it was like 3 or 4. And doesn't want to end that, so he's just gonna have to lose these resources and just really put his foot to the pedal there.
I don't know, man. I mean, granted, I understand, but when your opponent already has one Zoroark in play and starting to get a couple more, I don't mind ending him to 4 at that, or to ending his 4-card hand into a brand new 6-card hand at that point. I really don't, but especially if it's going to save me a few resources. But at the same time, I get it. You know, you were also trying to put a lot of pressure on your opponent yourself. So if you can draw 7 new cards, guarantee that you're not going to be seeing these old cards again, then it gives you a much better odds at just being able to, you know, blow up, so to speak.
Yep. This is a weird spot in the game for Daniel. He's going to have to make a decision if doing 110 damage is what he needs to do. It walks right into a max potion if Jimmy's got it, and that'd be a huge waste of a turn. But do you really want to just be doing 20s to Zorua right now? It doesn't seem like you're going to get very far with that either. So it looks like he's just going to have to go with this chip damage approach and hope that that gets him there.
Now, Finnegan didn't use any of he didn't bring any energy back, right? From his discard pile? He didn't.
Correct, yeah, he's holding on to them. It depends how many he has in there. It looks like he has Floatstone in hand though, so it doesn't have to go with that one safety energy on the Lele for retreating purposes that most players tend to go with.
All right, 110 damage onto the Zoroark. Now, well, right away we see a second Zoroark hit the field with because of Evo Soda. So that's, I mean, that's the setup you want. At this point, from here on out, he should be fine when it comes to cards, as long as the top of his deck is not too unkind.
Yep. Nice ordering from Jimmy. He's going to give himself good odds to find cards like Max Potion. It looks like he's holding on to a puzzle piece and doesn't want to lose that, so might see him just play this Floatstone, and then I don't know if that last card was N or not. Looks like Sycamore, though.
Sycamore, yeah. Puzzle at time does hit the discard pile, but because of well, Sycamore, I definitely don't mind losing that puzzle at time.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to see, oh, there it is, Max Potion.
Right away.
Yeah, that's big. He's going to also be able to trade into a few more cards. That hand is great.
It has everything. He really doesn't need anything else here. Floatstone gets discarded to draw 2 additional cards.
Oh, he even finds another Zoroark with the Evo Soda. That's big. Might even see him just go with the Golisopod.
Yeah.
If he wants to.
He has a Mew in his hand, too. I mean, really, he can do pretty much whatever he wants.
Yep. Mew could get scary. If he decides to go with the Mew, it would set up counter catcher plays for him after the knockout from Daniel's side. But do you really want to be playing that game? You have a pretty good matchup. You don't need to just give him 2 prizes.
No, I totally agree.
Yeah. I like holding the Max Potion till the very end, too.
Yeah. Give your opponent a little bit of
It's just
hope.
like, okay, well, I can still knock this out, right?
Actually, that's a very viable strategy because your opponent's, you know, always coming up with game plans, right? And the moment that you show him the Max Potion, every game plan he had up until that point goes away.
He's wasting his time thinking about stuff that just isn't relevant now.
Exactly. So that's absolutely a very smart choice there by Jimmy. And sure enough, now shows the Max Potion. 110 damage. Boop. Gone. In the blink of an eye.
Can I get that sound effect one more time?
Boop.
Oh, very nice. That's what I didn't know I needed that in my life.
Golisopod coming up. First impression, 120 damage.
Might even armor press. Yeah, he armor pressed and then the parallel reduces.
Yep, that's what it is.
But I mean, it's the same difference. It's he's setting up the 2-shot, and then he doesn't have to worry about getting knocked out himself. That Golisopod is huge. Also, the parallel city locked in. That's going to be a big key. All he has is 3 Malamars.
Yeah, you know, I didn't notice that he attached the double colors onto that Golisopod. I mean, that's an interesting choice, right? Because he's choosing to put so many resources onto this Golisopod. But at the same time, that armor press gives you armor, you know?
Go armor!
So, I mean, it was a very intentional play by Jimmy. I'm definitely excited to see how this ends up playing out. I wonder if saving that extra 20 damage is going to be worth that double colorless energy investment.
Yep. Well, Daniel did use portal strike last turn, so that he can't do the portal attack this turn. And
right.
The only way that he's really getting an attack off with portal is going to involve a Guzma. So if you're using Golisopod's armor press, the only option that Daniel has is to attack for 40 with a Malamar if there's no field blower. So yeah, just going to avoid the portal strike pretty much altogether through this setup.
Oh, geez. This is looking really good for Jimmy now, as all Daniel can really muster up is just a couple of little scratches on a couple Zoroarks. Cynthia gives Jimmy a brand new 6-card hand right after attaching a double colorless energy onto the undamaged Zoroark. With the Parallel City really taking away a lot of options from Finnegan's hand, or from Finnegan in general. It really seems like there's no true advantage being gained by having all these Malamars in play. Yep. And I mean, that's been the case for turns now.
Hey, he just really doesn't have anything that he's able to do. He has no Pokemon to set up. Usually that's what you see this deck doing. They'll either use one attacker and use the Dawn Wings to keep floating it back in and out, or they're going to use multiple attackers, like using that Necrozma GX and getting it set up alongside this Hoopa.
And on the other hand, you just see turn after turn, Jimmy getting rid of all these dead cards in his hand. Cards that he just doesn't want to see when his opponent ends him, you know?
Yeah.
The thing about and against Zoroark decks is, I mean, you're almost always going to be ending them into the cards they need, because that's all that's left in their deck after they've gotten rid of all the excess Frigids and, of course, Countercatcher in this case. So things are just looking really, really good for Jimmy. As I don't know if I don't know if you remember, but turn 1, it looked like Jimmy had all but lost as he passed with a single Zoro in play. Yeah,
maybe Daniel should have gotten a little more aggressive, played that Psychic Energy, and then he could have potentially found that card like the Floatstone. Maybe it just takes those all-in routes to be able to steal this kind of game.
Well, finds a Sycamore here.
Yeah,
through the top of Lele.
Having that bench space open up from the knockout, actually a little bit of a blessing in disguise.
He does have a pretty large hand, though, and I mean, these are all cards that could be relevant in the near future.
Jimmy also very wisely has not used his GX attack for the game. Tapu Lele coming in as an attacker is something that Daniel has the option to do. It's a nice way to get some chip damage down and then clean up with a Hoopa or something if he's ever able to find a field blower. But being able to have access to 180 damage if he is able to remove that Parallel City, he'd be able to take that Lele straight off the board.
4 cards discarded with the Sycamore in order to draw 7 new ones.
Oh, he found a ton of Max Elixirs,
yeah,
but he just has no bench space.
No flute. Jeez, man.
Yeah, he's got no blower.
Yeah.
We could just see some energy drive action.
Well, beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah, he's actually just gonna pass with the Lele active.
Yeah, looks like it. He does pass Lele active, so there's no imminent danger for this Lele yet. But I mean, it's just further solidifies Jimmy's position here in the driver's seat. As I mean, your opponent, what do you have to worry about here?
Right.
Not only does Finnegan need to find a stadium right away or a field blower, but he also has to find another attacking Pokemon and additional energies because there's only one in the discard pile.
Yeah, it's actually kind of tricky from Daniel because he could have the only way that Jimmy takes a knockout this turn is through a field blower and a choice band. And Daniel really wants that Parallel City gone for the 3 effect. So he might be trying to bait Jimmy a little bit into removing this, and I don't think Jimmy's going to fall for it. He's just going to take his 80 damage or take a Malamar, and it looks like he's going to take the Malamar.
Yeah, the Malamar with the Floatstone on it is the active Pokemon now, and Zoroark becomes the active Pokemon here for Jimmy. Jimmy knocks it out right away. Jimmy's down to 4 prizes now as opposed to Finnegan 6.
This is what everyone dreams about. It's just finding a nice matchup against a really good player too, and just being able to show off your skill caliber. And Jimmy's in a perfect spot. He's just able to do anything that he wants. Daniel is going to have to find Max Elixir, attach, double Malamar's recharge, and then knock out this Zoroark. But after that, what does he do? He's just he's in so much trouble.
Yeah, but the writing's not on the wall yet, right? He does have...
It's in pencil. It could be erased, but I don't know if it will.
I mean, he's got exactly what he needs at this point, though, right? At this point, he does get to start taking knockouts. He has options available to him. But, yeah, you said it yourself. It's basically written down in pencil. It's tough. It's a tough spot here if you're Finnegan.
Yep, he's going to be able to get the Prismatic Burst knockout on the Zoroark, but after this, it's kind of up to Jimmy. If he wants to Guzma, knock out that Malamar, what does Daniel have left? He's got 1 recharge going for him, and that's not going to be a way to keep up with this Zoroark deck.
Beyond this Necrozma, how's he going to be able to take the final 4 prizes?
It involves a field blower and an N and a lot of luck. And it seems very difficult when Jimmy has access to all these trades. So removing the Zoroarks is going to be pretty key. Unfortunate for him, he was only able to get 1 Hyperspace Punch off into those Zoroarks. So the ones with 20 on there, if they had 40, maybe it would open up a few more doors. But it's just going to be super difficult. Max Elixirs are also going to be pretty key because he just isn't going to have the Malamars in play. And Daniel recognizes this. He's going to even hold on to the energy on the Lele, and he's holding Max Elixirs because he knows that they're going to be key after this bench space potentially opens up.
That was 1 expensive knockout here for Finnegan. But he does take down that Zoroark, and now he's down to 4 prizes. So we're seeing some signs of life out of this Malamar.
Yep, it's pretty much up to Jimmy now to find another Guzma. If he's able to knock out the Malamar with the Floatstone, he's right back in a fantastic spot. But Daniel could go double Max Elixir, attach, and Prismatic Burst, and just go. It just seems pretty difficult now with all the Psychic Energies already in the discard pile. How many does he have left to even hit off Max Elixir?
Not many.
Yeah.
Not many. Oh, jeez.
Looks like he's even going to keep an eye on it, too. I think I see 5, 6.
You know, he does play
7.
Psychic,
so it could happen. He would have to get, if the Malamar is to be knocked out, then, yeah, he could, it could happen, but it's just very, very difficult. All right, so we see Jimmy going with a nice line, taking another puzzle out. This means that he has double puzzle action ready, available later. Has that Guzma in his hand. I mean, he's even able to take luxury cards like the Golisopod too.
Guzma taking down this this Malamar. Strategies. I mean, sticking to the strategy, right? He's targeting these Malamars. He's saying you're just not gonna have a consistent damage output later in the game if I keep targeting these bad boys down. And we're down to a single Malamar in play here for Finnegan.
Yep. And he found a Psychic Energy, so that means that this is an option. He's just going to use these Mysterious Treasures to look through his deck and see if he has the last 2 Psychic Energies there, and then he needs to go back to back off the Elixir to hit that, and probably get an Inkay into play if he ever wants to have a secondary attacker ever again.
Yeah, the thing is, his deck is also on the smaller side too, so we got to keep that in mind. It shouldn't be too hard as long as he's got the Psychic.
He's got 2 Psychics.
Yeah.
This could actually happen. He could score the knockout. It's just it gets so difficult when the Malamars fall off. If Jimmy's able to Guzma knock out another Malamar, what's Daniel's answer? He's just gonna have to energy drive.
Yeah, I mean, I like finding the Inkay here though. Brings your deck down to what, 8 cards?
Yep. Those are solid odds. He also has another treasure if he wants to pull another Psychic Pokemon, and he can pretty much guarantee it. Actually, it would guarantee it'd be 7 and then 6.
He's guaranteed right now, right?
He's at 8, so that he could. There's a potential to.
Yeah, but then you're gonna take 1 right away, so you're gonna go down to 7.
It depends if the Inkay's the 7th or the 8th card or not. So if there's 2 cards available that he could miss, it would be very, very, very sad.
Yeah, I mean, I guess technically he can miss. All right, finds it right away. 1 more to go. Yeah, I think you're right. I think there is 7 cards left in the deck now.
Okay, so he could,
1 in 7 shot.
I mean, he's got to keep cards in his deck so he doesn't just lose to N. You never want to deck out by N. That's one of the saddest ways to go out.
I think you go out like a warrior there, though. You know? All right.
Oh.
3, 4, 5. Oh my goodness.
Stop.
6.
No.
Oh no. That did not just happen.
Oh my goodness. He's gonna flip it. Yeah.
His deck is. Oh jeez.
He had the treasure in his hand too. He could have pulled another Psychic and guaranteed it, but then what does he have? This N, he's gonna just show that he has like.
Oh man. 6
cards, 7 cards. He's got like 3 turns to win this game, and that doesn't seem like enough. And yeah, he just nods his head, says,
"Oh man, I'm in shock."
That is hard.
You know, something inside of me told me that he wasn't going to hit it too. Like when he was struggling to find that 5th card.
You don't want a commentator curse him though. You got to keep it under wraps.
Oh man, you got to feel so bad for him. He had a 1 in 7 shot of missing that. You know, that's true odds right there.
Yeah.
1 in 7 shot you miss. 1 in 6 and 7 times you're going to be in really good shape.
Huh, so now does he go with Black Ray? It's really, really bad if your opponent has a Mewtwo.
I think you go with the Black Ray.
It might set you up to potentially win with some energy drives.
So here's the reason.
Oh, it's so weird. Yeah.
Here's the reason why I think you go for it, right? Because if you're almost guaranteed to lose this game anyways if you go for the Prismatic Burst. But with the Black Ray, you actually open up a shot for yourself if your opponent doesn't have the Mewtwo.
Yeah.
Like, that actually opens up a very real shot that you can win. And sure enough, he's going for it. He's going for the Black Ray.
He just ended Jimmy. Jimmy's only going to see 2 trades.
Yeah, 2 trades. And if you don't find the Mewtwo with the double colorless, you know, you're going to be in a kind of a weird spot, right, if you're Jimmy.
Yep.
He has the double colorless, but he's still missing the Mewtwo. He has the Ultra Ball, though. But I think the Mewtwo's prized, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'm not sure if he was able to draw into it, if it was the 3rd or the 4th prize.
Well, he's getting rid of his Ultra Ball, so I think he would have kept the Ultra Ball if he wasn't able to draw into it.
Yep.
Or if he was able to draw into it, he would have kept the Ultra Ball.
Does have Mew as an option, but I think that might have already hit the discard as well.
Yeah, I have to believe he doesn't have it in his deck just based on, well, okay, never mind, there's a Bridget.
We're going to find out.
Yeah.
That's a Mew. Okay.
Okay.
So that's the secondary effect of Bridget. You can also just go and grab 1 Pokemon EX. Little known fact, and Jimmy's going to use it here for you.
Oh, the ever so versatile Mew, yes.
He's so versatile, even though he only comes in at very random moments of psychicness.
Well, I mean, the perfect moment right there, right? As he does take down the Necrozma, goes down to 1 prize actually, and takes away all of Finnegan's energy. Well, all of Finnegan's everything.
He's got a knockout with Malamar, but then he just loses.
Yeah. I don't see
so he might look for an alternate route.
He's also got a 3-card deck after finding a card here with Mysterious Treasure.
Now, if only he could Black Ray twice. We might be in for a good one.
All right. Jeez. 3-card deck left for the guy. He's got access to the energy in his discard pile. But, I mean, all you can do is Prismatic Burst here. Knock out this Mew, go down to 2 prizes, but
Yeah, we're
and
just
your opponent just needs anything. A Guzma wins
away.
it. Guzma wins it. I mean, hey, that's all you need.
Yeah, 2 trades available. Jimmy's just looking through, counting his deck. He has been burning through his deck this entire game. So
he has gotten rid of a few Guzmas himself, though. Keep that in mind.
That's true.
Who knows how many he's got left? Maybe he's only got 1 left in the deck. Yep. And maybe he doesn't even have the puzzle at times for it either, you know?
Yeah, he's used all the puzzles, so he does not have them available. He would have to have the Guzma available for himself.
Oh, geez, it seems like he only plays 2 Guzma. Ooh. Ooh, things could get interesting.
Yeah.
You know, you rely on counter capture in these spots, and, well, you're down to 1 prize, so you're definitely not behind.
Yeah, it gets a little scary here.
Uh-oh. Could be seeing the potential opening here for Finnegan. Oh, man, it's coming down to the wire. 7.5 minutes remaining. Wonder Tag finds an end. That means there's no Guzma, man.
Yeah, I guess he's already played them, so pretty limited now. He's got the choice band, so he's able to do... Oh, he's got the puzzles.
He's got the double puzzles. He does have the double puzzles.
Yeah, I guess he held on to them. So all he needs to do here is Field Blower or Guzma, and the game's over.
Yep. Guzma, fine.
Might as well do both.
All right, Field Blower gets rid of his own stadium. Guzma also fine. Well, you know, it seems like Finnegan is not amused.
Yes. just knock me out, man.
Thanks. All right, well, there is not a quick victory by Jimmy, but a victory nonetheless, as Jimmy does come up with a big win here for the Zoroark deck, which, I mean, obviously had the matchup advantage against Malamar, don't get me wrong, but it seemed like he was all but out in game 2, and he still managed to pull it off.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy just did not have the ideal start, but he was able to make it a good match because that is just a really good matchup for him. Daniel was trying his hardest to find a way out of that, and it was really difficult. It involved way too many turns. You had to either hyperspace punch a bunch and get Prismatic Burst set up. You had to get that early Black Ray with a ton of GX Pokemon in play and then start to sweep with Hoopa. And all that gets disrupted as soon as you see the first Parallel City.
Yeah, we saw the matchup disadvantage really in action right there as, I mean, we saw Triple Malamar, Triple Malamar in play. And I mean, first of all, in order to get Triple Malamar in play, it's difficult. You know, it takes a couple of turns and quite a bit of luck. But on top of that, you need the energies to go with it, and you need the attacking Pokemon. At some point, something could potentially be missing. And in this particular case, it was the energy that was missing early on, as well as the attacking Pokemon. And then we saw how the Parallel City just kind of put in a lot of work against Lynch's short bench, and we just saw such a big struggle for Finnegan in the early middle part of the game, that once he finally established an offense, it was too little too late.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes that's just what happens. He knows that when he plays this deck, he's going to run into that matchup, and he's got an idea for what he's able to do, but sometimes that you just run into the parallel, and you've got 3 Malamars.
On the other hand, Jimmy now 4-0 in a tournament which absolutely demands that you have a strong start. You know, if you start off 4-0, you're feeling all right, but you're still not feeling great. There's quite a bit of Pokemon left to be played. You're not even halfway through the day 1 of Swiss yet.
Yep, well, we do have Jimmy Pendarvis ready for you guys, so we're going to go ahead and throw it over to Anna.
Hi, guys. I am backstage here with Jimmy. Jimmy, tell us from your eyes how that match looked. How do you feel?
Outside the Zero Pass on turn 1, game 2, the matchup's great. My draws were great. Finnegan's a great player, but there's just not much he can do in that matchup. So
you felt like you were